Many thanks for staying on the marketplace. You're welcome back. Now to the very first story. Government says policy measures outlined in the 2017 budget statement read yesterday would indeed help stabilize the city and restore much confidence into the economy. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta yesterday announced several initiatives he believes will help grow businesses and create more jobs. The following report look at some of these measures.
Government, for instance, cites its approach in reducing the budget deficit to 6.5% and public debt to about 70% of GDP that should convince investors government is indeed committed to stabilize the economy. Kweku Kwatin is the incoming Deputy Finance Minister.
We are in exciting times. The change that Ghanaians voted for was not a change for its sake. It was a change for the way we do our things, and more importantly, a change in the economic and living circumstances of Ghanaians. This budget has sought very successfully to deliver on these. So you see the minister deliver on the commitment we made to the people of this country. And then two, you also see the effort we are making to correct some of the liabilities, the weaknesses that we have inherited. And we have done this, as we promised, by reprioritizing. We are cutting the waste, and we are putting money where it ought to be. We are cutting taxes because we want businesses to do well, to open up, and to provide employment for our people.
Some offshore investors whose decision to exit from Ghana's bonds contributed to the cedi's depreciation, which is currently selling around 4 cedis, 70 pesos to a dollar, noted that they are waiting for the budget's policy measures before they react. Finance Minister sees the tax reliefs as critical in supporting the growth of businesses. Meanwhile, President of the Association of Ghana Industries, James Asarieje, says government's tax relief for employing graduates can help reduce unemployment rate, but however wants the rates to be increased.
A lot of the taxes which we had been advocated for, were either removed or reduced. For example, the 5% import duty on raw materials, and then some of the components of the VAT on financial services and so on and so forth. However, we are more interested in the implementation of such policy initiatives. And then also, to what extent can we ensure that such policy initiatives have direct impact, in fact, positive impact on business growth?
For some analysts, only time will tell whether businesses will indeed respond positively to these measures to help fast-track the stability of the economy.
Now, the Central Bank has unveiled the new 5 Ghana cedi denomination to mark the 60th anniversary of Ghana's independence from British rule in 1957. The new note, which would be in circulation from March 7, has some key distinctive security features that are aimed at protecting it from other counterfeit notes. They are also to make the note accessible and recognizable by persons who are visually impaired.
As you can see, with Dr. Agree's portrait on the front. He was a handsome man who accomplished a lot, for someone like him to have journeyed over to across the Atlantic and achieved so much in America and decided to come back to Ghana to help lay the foundation for education and national development. Ghana as we have it today, largely as a result of some of the contributions of Dr. Agree. And those is powerful sayings, for example, the one that says when you educate a woman, you educate the nation. I think that's truly powerful. But today is evidence, even after so many years, that those countries that include their women in development are the ones that are doing much better, and there are others who haven't. The conversation around that and the debate is settled now. It's no longer a debate. Women are very important, perhaps more important than men in national development. And Dr. Agree, envisioned that several years ago. But to also say that when you play keys of a piano. You may produce some sort of music. If you play the white keys only, you may produce some sort of music. But together, it makes better music. I think that today is evidence in the national unity that we have, that as a united country, we can do better and continue to lead the continent. So you see the kind of man that he was. Many, many years before a lot of us were born, a lot of you, I was born in...
All right, so my colleague George Biafe was at the unveiling ceremony, and he's privileged. He's having a fresh note here. Maybe I'll have to take it later. George,
you have to.
Yes. So how is it going to be? Like?
So if you should go into any major commercial bank that is next Monday, you'll be able to have access to Biafe. This is the new 5 cedi Ghana note.
Looks
and
crispy.
if you're able to get this new 5 cedi note into any major commercial bank, this is what will be given to you. Now, it has some distinguished features on this one that some might say that might make it a little bit difficult for anybody to counterfeit. Now, the features, Dr. Kwejo Aggrey, he's a more of an intellectual, a missionary, an educationist. And for those who went to Achimota and they know how he went about in the establishment of that institution, that popular phrase of, if you educate a man, you just educate an individual, but if you educate a woman, you do the entire family, which some might say extrapolate into the nation.
Sure.
Also, when he went to South Africa, when he spoke about the fact that, when you play the white key alone on the piano, you won't have a good melody, but you have to combine that with the black note, and that gives you an exceptional melody. So that is why the Bank of Ghana basically has settled on Kwejo Aggrey, who is supposed to be an educationalist and intellectual and this. Now, when you look at the reverse side, of course, it has an FPSO there.
Sure.
Some will say that as a country, we are moving towards an oil
production.
And all this. So they want to also pick on some of these significant national assets to project it. So basically, if you walk into a bank, you'll be able to get access. You just hold it. Have a feel of it. You get access to this 5 Ghana cedi note from any major commercial bank. And it's going to operate alongside with the existing notes. So let's just say there were about 25 Ghana cedi notes in circulation as we speak right now. Now, basically, what the Bank of Ghana is going to do is that...
All right, so this is the money. Viewers can
You're holding it right now, don't worry. One of the first people to hold the actual currency.
Yes.
So they will withdraw actually just about maybe 10 of it in circulation, and then they'll pump this 5 cedi note into it.
All right.
And that is going to be in circulation alongside. So in all, you will still have 25 Ghana. These are just rough scenarios in circulation.
All right.
The 5 new one will be there, and then the existing one would also be there, and then that will actually help in actually trading and economic activities.
Now, how is it going to impact on the economy as a whole?
Well,
with more news and more notes coming in, is it going to be inflationary?
No, because the Bank of Ghana has its own typical surveillance that they do to ensure that any amount that you put in circulation actually matches economic activities. So if we know that for the month of June, looking at the economic activities, we just need to have this 5 Ghana cedi notes in circulation. It's going to be happening that way. So the fact that you're pushing more into it, it doesn't mean that you're pushing more than what Italy needs. So you're pushing 10 Ghana cedis into circulation, and that will balance. So I'll bring out 5 out and put 5 fresh into it. But let's listen to the governor of the Bank of Ghana. He's been explaining the rationale behind settling on Kwejo Aggrey and also the essential security features, with the effect that you're going to see more of this. If you look at this note, it's more smaller than the existing note. It has been explained to us the decision or the rationale behind this.
All right. All right, so let's get the governor of the central bank actually comment on this new 5 cedi notes. All right, so I think...
so basically, the governor will actually be explaining to us what it means. I mean, why did they settle on Kwejo Aggrey?
Any uniqueness about the colors of these notes?
Well, we understand that this currency would glow in darkness. So if you're in the dark and maybe you're buying some Kelewele on the street and all those things, it glows. Okay. Now, it has also a unique QRP or QR code that if you should get an app and you should connect to it, you'll be able to read all the features about this particular issue and all those things.
All right, so now we can take a listen to the central bank governor.
There's knowledge sharing across central banks to incorporate some of these modern security features in our notes so that we can avert any any of those efforts to counterfeit our money. And this is what we are doing now, more like an experiment to capture the latest features in security, in the security space. And that's what we've done with this opportunity to commemorate 60 years of existence as a central bank. So as you saw in the presentation, there are several features that's on there, watermark features, and other security features that we have.
Someone will ask that also, what's the rationale? Dr. Kweji Aggrey, a very distinguished missionary, educationist, and some would say an intellectual, cutting across all boundaries and even across nations.
A real visionary indeed. I mean, I'll just pick on two things. For someone like him to have talked about the significance of educating a woman and the role of women in national development so many years before the discourse is now settled that women are very important in our development, I think for me is very instructive. Then he was the first to have said that, when you educate a woman, you educate a family or a nation. But when you educate a man, you educate an individual. And see, after so many years, then he had known that, he had a vision and he saw that now it's settled, that those countries that involve their women in their development process do better than those that alienate women from their development process. And I think what Dr. Aggrey said, as a Ghanaian, then I think is very inspiring to have known that, and we ought to celebrate that. But the other thing, it's the whole sense of education or even teamwork, and unity. Again, he had said that, when you see the black and white keys of a piano, playing them separately really does not produce the kind of music that you would enjoy. But when you play them together, there's unity. You take away any discordance, and you have unity of purpose, and you produce good music that you enjoy. For me, also, I think as a country, as Ghana, we can see that the unity as a nation that we are enjoying now and being a star of the continent, precisely because of some of the things he had said. And I think we are celebrating that as well to inspire us moving forward as a united country, regardless of whether you are from north or south or you belong to this party.
All right, so that was Dr. Abdul Isiru Nasahaku explaining some of the important features on this particular currency. But George, is it still going to be a legal tender? That's the old notes that we have in the system.
Normally they have something that in every country, even in UK, the Chancellor, they did it as well. In every landmark of any country, they issue a commemorative note. In Zambia, they did some recently. So this is just a commemorative note to celebrate the 60 years of Bank of Ghana.
So it's not actually 60 years of the independence of Ghana.
No, it's about the Bank of Ghana's operation. Okay. Let's look at that here. So they've issued this commemorative note and it will operate along or whatever that is already in circulation. So this will still be a legal tender. The old one will still be a legal tender, and we can use that concurrently. And it's a commemorative note. You can take it to your fair and then frame it and put it in your bedroom or even your hall. And maybe 50 years on, you can tell your grandchildren that this was issued on this day to celebrate the 60 years of the Bank of Ghana.
I'm indeed privileged to have
and that will go into my wallet. It won't go to you.
I know, you don't worry about that. Thank you very much, George. And still on the marketplace, the finance minister has announced the abolition of the excise duty on petroleum products, as well as the reduction of the petroleum tax, special petroleum tax rate from 17.5% to 15%.
Government has decided, as pledged, to review these taxes to provide relief for businesses. The following specific measures shall be implemented in the short to medium term. With this budget, abolish the 1% special import levy. Abolish the 17.5% VAT on financial services. Abolish the 17.5% VAT on selected imported medicines that are not produced locally. Initiate steps to remove import duties on raw materials and machinery, for production within the context of the ECOWAS Common External Tariff Protocol. We will abolish the 70.5% of domestic airline tickets. We will abolish the 5% VAT on real estate sales. We will abolish excise duty on petroleum.
All right, so we'll get the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers react to this particular removal of some taxes on petroleum products. But for now, let's go to the Central Business District of Accra, where we now know it's now official that telecoms company Airtel and Tigo will be operating as one entity. The parent companies of the two firms, Bharti Airtel and Millicom, have signed an agreement to combine operations in Ghana. This is coming after some media reports on the merger earlier this year. We have our correspondent Sheila Tamaklo out there to bring to us some details. Sheila, if you can hear me, what exactly is going on between Tigo and
Yes, I can
Airtel?
hear you. Well, currently we are at the Tigo head office in Accra, and it's business as usual, as you can see behind me. However, we are gathering that earlier on, around 11:30, there was a staff meeting to announce internally the merger between Airtel and Tigo.
Now, so how is it going to operate like? Is it going to be one entity, or they'll still maintain their identities, but in principle operating as one company?
Well, according to the press release, there's going to be a 50-50 deal between the two telecom giants. But management is being silent about the details of the merger. So, well, we've not had any comments from them yet.
Now, what about the officials? What are they saying to this?
Yeah, like I said, the officials are refusing to comment on it since they think it's going to have some, implications on the international front because it's a big issue here.
All right, so thank you very much for that update. We'll get some more details as and when you get any information from the officials. That was Sheila Tamaklo out there in the Central Business District of Accra, where telecoms company Airtel and Tigo are now going to operate as one company. Let's now go to the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana, COPEC, where the Executive Secretary is saying the removal of the taxes on petroleum products will significantly improve the prices at the pumps.
We were all along asking for reviews of some of the amounts. And if you recall, specifically, we were emphatic on Special Petroleum Tax, SPT. We insist that it should be rounded off to a specific figure, an amount, 20 pesos, 30 pesos. Then we can all go to bed knowing that it won't overrun itself when the other variables shoot up. What happens with SPT in percentage terms is this. When ex-refinery price goes up or import price goes up, 17.5% would naturally also go up. And so we would welcome the 2% reduction for a start, but we can assure you that we'll be having further discussions with the government on some of the issues that we are still asking for. Repositioning would have been good. If you move SPT from the current ex-depot pricing position to ex-refinery price position, there is some net gain that would accrue to all of us. Unfortunately, repositioning or redefining has not been done. It's been reduced. That is welcoming, but like I indicated, the industry will be a lot more happy to have the government square off that figure instead of the percentage terms based on invoices that you would have to pick every now and then. We think that the overall impact from what we have seen today is about 3.2% reduction in fuel prices per the scrapping completely of the excise duty, which is at 3 pesos, and then you come to the SPT reduced from 17.5 to 15. That's about 2.5% also knocked down. 3.2%.
Duncan Amwa is the Executive Director of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers. Now, claims by some members of the minority that the removal of duty on the importation of spare parts will lead to Ghana becoming a dumping ground for substandard materials has been misplaced by the majority. Announcing the 2017 government expenditure, the budget estimates by the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, he revealed government will scrap import duties on spare parts. But the Minister of Monitoring and Evaluation, Dr. Anthony Akotosei, says this is misplaced.
According to Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, the move by government to scrap such a levy on importation of spare parts is part of measures by the Akufo-Addo administration to make Ghana a business-friendly state. Though many have lauded the idea, some members of the minority in parliament think it's rather going to expose Ghana to substandard goods from abroad. However, Minister of Monitoring and Evaluation Dr. Anthony Akoto rejects the claim.
Quality goods? Not at all, not at all. This is mostly to local businesses. Those who are here are going to benefit. Government can remove some taxes, not all. The excise tax has been removed. The 17.5% special tax has been brought down to 15%.
So are we going to see a total scrap in the next budget, maybe 2018 or 2019?
Early to tell. We are starting laying the foundation for what we will do for the next 4 years. This is a big start.
Dr. Akoto has also been explaining the sustainability of one of government's flagship policies, the $1 million per constituency annually, which is under the Infrastructure for Poverty Eradication program. He's confident the policy will remain sustainable to enhance the development of all rural constituencies.
Already part of our capital expenditure. We are reprogramming to the constituencies. We have last year 1.6 billion capital expenditure. Is that 275 out of that is being sent directly to the communities so that it can be bottom up. That's all that's being done.
How sustainable is it going to be?
Very sustainable. It's capital expenditure. Tax revenue.
But you are removing most of the taxes. You are reducing most of the taxes.
When businesses produce, they will earn more profit. Consumers who are hired from the business production will also pay more income tax. Sometimes tax reductions brings more revenue.
Some of the macroeconomic targets announced by the president include an overall gross domestic product GDP growth rate of 6.3%, non-oil GDP growth.
And finally, on the marketplace, commercial banks in the country are kicking against moves by some telecom service providers venturing into lending and other services reserved for them. Telecom companies have been trying to duplicate operations of mobile money service functions of some commercial banks. However, speaking with Joy Business, Chief Executive of the Royal Bank, Osei Asafo-Adjei, insists some telecos are moving into areas reserved for banks.
The necessary platforms, and we are in competition. And we are trying to liaise with some of the telecommunication companies so that we can work together. I think that the dichotomy between the banking industry and the telcos in terms of the mobile money business is not helpful. We should rather come together and try to serve our customers, because the telcos are not registered to operate as banks. So, and sometimes I think they veer beyond their boundaries in terms of their approved lines of business. For instance, we hear some of them are even trying to lend money to some people, which I think is traversing the boundaries of banking. So I think that if the telephone companies and the banks can come together, I think that it will create a kind of synergy that will be beneficial to the banks, the telcos, and the public at large.
And that will be it for this afternoon's edition of the Marketplace. We'll do some more analysis on the budget presentation on Business Live later in the evening. My name is Manuel Abuaji. Many thanks for joining me, and good afternoon.